Oh, yeah. Today, I'm talking about maintenance on a trail rig that sees a lot of trail abuse. We're using my Jeep LJ as an example because that rig has been wheeled hard for 7 years nonstop. Now, right now, we're dealing with the suspension. Now, this rig has a very common setup for hardcore off-road, and that is Heim joints and uniballs at all the suspension links, which are incredibly strong. But over time, what can happen to a traditional Heim joint is the Teflon liner that's basically holding this ball inside the Heim joint can actually start to wear out. It actually gets beaten out over time just from the forces inside the suspension, and it starts to disintegrate, come apart, and it falls out. It can also just be worn out. When you hear Heim joints moving around and you hear them squeaking on the trail, it's like squeak, squawk, whenever you're going four-wheeling. That's the sound of that Teflon inside the joint wearing out. It won't really fall apart because of the design of the joint, but you'll actually feel this in the vehicle. You'll feel like a clunk in the suspension. So I'm going to be replacing all the Heim joints in this rig. At the same time, I'm going to be upgrading them with rod ends supplied 1¼ inch rod ends. Now, the rod end supplied joints don't use Teflon. They use a proprietary nylon fiber injection system in the joint. Now, not only does that make it incredibly strong to match the 4130 chromoly joint, but it also means no lubrication, no maintenance in the future. I've had these in a couple of my rigs and I absolutely love them. They have all the other items that you would need if you were building a suspension. You can get basically bungs to adapt these into tubing. You can get jam nuts, as well as a pile of misalignment spacers in different sizes and different diameters. But in this case, since we're just servicing the vehicle, I'm basically gonna twist the old rod end out, swap the nut onto the new rod end, put it back in. Just tap them in. Tighten them up. You don't want to just replace the Heim joints, or rather just inspect the Heim joints in your suspension. We've already serviced the steering on this, but it also uses two 3/4 by 3/4 inch rod ends that are underneath just as much stress, if not more stress, than the suspension. As a matter of fact, this one, there's already a little bit of play in it from being on the trail so often. I think that play has happened for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think the joint might be starting to get worn out. Number two, this particular joint is in what we call single shear, which means the bolt travels through the joint and is attached on one side. So I'm gonna upgrade them, just like I did with the suspension, with these all new rod end supply rod ends with the nylon fiber and the chromoly body. These are incredibly strong, just like our suspension joints, but just a little bit smaller. I'm also going to change the design of this steering pivot point so it puts this joint into double shear, and that will help extend its life. Okay, talkie time. So once I got the original bolt out, I saw that the fact that it was only in single shear, it actually started to open up the hole a little bit. So what I've done is I've actually upsized the Heim joint. It was a 3/4 by 5/8. I grabbed a 3/4 by 3/4, which meant I had to ream this hole out to 3/4 of an inch, which was a little bit difficult, but it's no big deal. And then I got this little plate on here that is cut on my plasma cutter. What this plate will do, although it's incredibly thin and small, it prevents this bolt from rocking back and forth, and that is what essentially double shear means. It means I've captured this Heim on the bottom and on the top, and that is what adds the strength into the system. So now I gotta weld this, do the other side, and paint all of this, but the fact that it took me so long to ream out that hole right there, I'm gonna take a little break. And the nice thing about having all these 4-wheel drive trucks around, I'm just gonna go four-wheeling.